mean, I can only speak about what I've seen.
Yeah.
And what I've seen, I do not like it. I feel like
Right.
you keep seeing the same thing and then doing it again.
The shit he did is unacceptable. We do not move like that. I didn't travel 7,000 miles to support that.
I'm really sorry for my late review. It's just because I had work and work has been working, so I needed to prioritize that over my channel. And what do I think about Meet the Family? I think Meet the Family is always a bit difficult and a bit, it's eye-opening actually, because you get to see how people's families react to the relationship. And the contrast to that, especially in my opinion, is Annaya and Carl's parents or family with Trinity and Bryce's family, as compared to people like Cynthia and Melany. Cynthia and Melany's families did not want to be there, did not want to be together. Even Cynthia's family was there, it appeared, just because they needed to be there. Otherwise, his dad, I think, couldn't be bothered. The brother, in my opinion, sort of, I think, knows how Cynthia moves in relationships. Yes, he was critical of Cynthia, but I think partly he knows how his brother moves in relationships. Do I think Cynthia, this is the first time he's done this? No, I don't. Do I agree with people calling him out? Yes, I do. But one thing I always say, a gem I always say to people is, in real life, that never involve yourself in some people's relationships. Never to that extent. If you ask for advice, give advice on the assumption that whatever you tell that person, they've already made up their mind and they're going to do what they want to do, irregardless of what you say, in the sense that Melany's sister was out here fighting for her sister, only for Melany to turn around and say, oh, I'll give you one more chance. How many more chances? Even her mother asked her, how many more chances? So never, ever, ever involve yourself in giving opinions in relationships, especially if you know that the people are going to get back together and they're going to ignore your advice. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by to go, Valerie. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island USA, Season 8, Episode 32. Okay, so you have KC go and sit down with Titi because obviously he's asked her to be his girlfriend. He is ecstatic. She's excited as well because this is her first time having a boyfriend. So she can't believe that this is her first boyfriend. I think they complement one another. I think the problem was with KC and Annaya. They were from two different worlds, two completely different social groups, it seemed. And I think this is where KC felt like he was constantly having to fight an upward battle and he was trying to sort of appease the person he was with. I think this is why he had resentment towards Annaya. And so with Titi, they complement one another. They seem to come from the same world. And so there's a familiarity and a sense of understanding, which I love for both of them. Kayda and Trinity went for a chat. Kayda was in her feelings because she feels like, Trinity disrespected her relationship, more or less. And I love that, Trinity said to her, where I come from, what you're talking about is called the situationship. You're not boyfriend and girlfriend. You're not strangers. You're people that are seeing each other and are sort of sussing each other out. And yes, I understand the complication in the sense that I feel like they should have left as exclusive. That's what I think. I think that's what they agreed to, if I'm not mistaken. I think, yes, they should have left us exclusive. They live in two totally different areas, two totally different continents. So they need to see how that works out. And so I get why Zach doesn't want to shut it down and say we're boyfriend and girlfriend, only to leave the villa and then things fall apart. So I understand that. I also am happy that Trinity said to Kayda, this has nothing to do with me. Whether or not I approve of your relationship should not matter to you, because at the end of the day, the two of you are the one in this situation. So you're the ones that really love this or hate this. I can only give my input, but at the end of the day, what matters is you and Zach and what's important to the two of you. So Kayda was happy with that. I think Kayda just wanted people to celebrate her the way they celebrated Titi being asked to be a girlfriend. And because people didn't react like that, this is why she felt some type of way. Anyway, after this conversation, she went and she spoke to Zach and she said she was happy with the apology. She felt it was sincere. I was like, you don't need a sincere apology from this girl. It has nothing to do with her. She's just giving an opinion. Opinion, like, everyone has an opinion. It depends on how you take it, whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it. That's it. So I don't understand why Kayda was making such a big deal. Anyway, the girls and the boys were getting ready for the night. The girls were excited. They were happy for Titi that she's now a girlfriend. Carl was having a conversation with Dylan. If I hear one more time about this Kenzie situation, I swear to God, I'm going to scream because it's enough. It's enough. At this point, this man needs to decide, does he want to be with with Kenzie or doesn't he? If he doesn't, he needs to keep it stepping and stop wasting our time and airtime sort of going over the same thing. Everybody got ready for bed. Annaya came with a dress because apparently Carl said a dress made things easier. It's like, easier to do what, young lady? Easier to do what? Anyway, everybody went to sleep and they really seemed happy. I don't understand Melany. She's continuing with this physical intimacy with this man who hasn't really grafted to earn her. So the idea that they're still continuing to explore this doesn't make sense. Anyway, everyone fell asleep. In the morning, everyone woke up. You had Bryce wake up and go outside. So he came across the Coffee Mate trolley. And so the Coffee Mate trolley, he then ran back in to tell everyone that there was a Coffee Mate trolley outside. Everybody came out, and then he received a text that said, "Rise and shine, Islanders. Today's Family Day, presented by Coffee Mate." And it's like, oh, happy for them. There's always has to be a product placement on, Love Island USA. It's like Love Island Australia. They don't play around with endorsements. So everybody got ready. The guys got ready. Sincere on his part was telling the guys that he's a bit worried about how Melany's family will react. And he was, worried that will they have smoke for him and will his family have smoke? And it's like, buddy, it's like asking, is the sun shining today or not? It's obvious, Anyway, all the islanders got ready. They went out. They sat down and were sort of waiting to see who would come. And it's like, oh, I love this. Anyway, first up, we had Bryce and Trinity's mom and sister. And the grandma. Oh, I love Bryce's grandma. I love Bryce's grandma. She deserves a slot. They should just make, Love Island for the elderly or for the bit more mature ladies, not elderly. I loved her. I loved her sense of humor. The family really approved of, Trinity. They really seemed to love Trinity. And vice versa, Trinity's family also loved Bryce. They said this is the first time they've seen her cry, so they know that she's really genuine. For Bryce's grandma to ask, you guys have been here for so many weeks, why haven't they given you the hideaway? And it's like, Grandma, do you know what happens in the hideaway? Or are you just asking for the hideaway? I wish they'd taken her to see the hideaway. I think she's got a lovely sense of humor. The family, Trinity's family was saying she's invited to the cookout. They can't wait for her to come and meet everyone. I really loved that conversation. There was sort of a bit of harmony with their families there. And the family is also understanding that these people didn't start from love at first sight or lust at first sight. This was friendship at first sight and then eventually grew to be what it is. So I love it. And I love that the family appreciate that, this is something that these two people need to continue to work on. Maybe they'll convince us. Maybe they'll get married down the line. Bryce was a bit corny. Oh, these are my two favorite ladies meeting my new favorite lady. And it's like, oh, okay, whatever. Obviously, they had to have some Coffee Mate. They then went and took some pictures in the photo booth. Prior to them going, you had Zach meet, Bryce's family. And then he introduced Kayda, his girl. And it's like, that relationship is a bit it's a bit oaks, but it is what it is. Next up, we had Annaya and Carl's family. Oh, I really loved the mothers. I think when they were younger, they were the end because they really looked amazing. Carl and Annaya's moms looked amazing. Yes, Carl's mom looks a bit more aged, but still, they really did look amazing. They spoke about, the fact that both Carl and Annaya love volleyball. This is something they bonded on. Carl's mom said she loves that Annaya is grounded, she's patient, she's kind, and she's really supportive to her friends around the fella. I think Carl's mom is already planning the bridal shower. I think so. Because of the way she was enamored by Annaya. I think Annaya is an amazing girl. Yes, don't get me wrong. I think she's pampered, but I think she's an amazing girl. She's very kind and caring, as the mother described her. So I love that for them. You then had sort of the family speak about Carl being dumped because Annaya was second guessing herself. And so when they separated to go and sit with their loved ones, you had Annaya's mom say to her, when you find a good person, you need to go for it. You need to keep that person. You know better. Why did you allow him to leave? And she sort of explained that, it was because of time. I spent more time with Casey. And I feel like Annaya wanted someone that she thought she could manipulate or she could get to do whatever she wanted. And she was worried that Carl wouldn't do that. And so this is why she had gone for Casey. But anyway, I love that her mom was able to tell her that, this is the best person for you. This is the person that will give you what you want from a partner. So you need to work hard to keep that relationship. And then you had Annaya's mom call her out and say, I hate the advice that you're giving Melany. You need to be truthful to yourself. Would you want someone to tell you what you're telling her? She said, no. She said, well, you need to do the same for your friends. You need to be honest with her. You need to tell her the truth about what you think is best for her. Don't sugarcoat stuff. Don't sort of play down Sincere's behavior. It's unacceptable. And so I love that they told her this. Sadly, I don't think Melany is in a position whereby she's willing to listen to any advice from any other person. So it's going to be, a rocky road. You then had the families meet back up. They went for pictures, and then they said goodbye. Carl's mom is in love. She's in love with Annaya. She's at love, so it's up to Carl to catch up with his mom. Anyway, you had Annaya and Carl sit down for a chat, and they were sort of happy that their families got along. Carl said, his mom is already dreaming of raising world championship volleyball players, and it's like grandchildren, and it's like, I love it for them. I really love it. I think there was a lot of harmony in their families. They really got along. KC and Sincere sat down for a conversation. Sincere said he was worried about meeting Melany's family. He is a changed man. He is reborn. And it's like, KC, tell your friend that he's good at lip service. His actions don't always match up to what he says. So the idea that he's trying to sell to you that he's a changed man, when did he change? When? From movie night to now, or when? You need to give us a date. He was saying he's worried that his mom might not come because she doesn't like flying. And it's like, well, it is what it is. Melany and Titi had a conversation, and Melany was saying she's worried about meeting, Sincere's family. Titi was saying she's concerned about telling her family that she now has a boyfriend. And it's like, I think your families will be happy for you, regardless of who you pick or what you do. So at the end of the day, as long as you're confident in your decision, your family will be happy. Not too sure about Melany's family, but I think with Titi's family, they will be happy because Casey seems a better man. Yes, he was disrespectful, but he has apologized. He has atoned for himself. Sincere hasn't. You then had Casey and Titi's mums and sisters turn up. Casey's mom was concerned. She seemed a bit nervous. I don't know whether she was nervous because they were on camera or whether she was just nervous because she's not too sure about the connection. But she said at the end of the day, she loves the fact that Titi always has, Casey's back, and that she is always very supportive and stands up for what she believes in and for those she cares about. So she loved that about her. And you had Casey say, that's one of the qualities that I like, that she reminds me of you. And the mother didn't dispute that. So I think he went for what is familiar, what he knows, what he's grown up with, which is Titi. And that seems to work very well for him. So I love it. Titi's mom and sister were laughing because they couldn't believe that she was now a girlfriend, but they felt she really liked him. And their body language, you can tell they really like one another. I think the families are hoping that this is something that is genuine, something that will last past, the villa. So they're hoping and praying that this relationship works and these two can be something. And I love it for them. They went, they took pictures, and then they said their goodbyes. After they had left, you had, Titi and Casey say they really like one another and they're happy that their families got to meet and seem to get along very well. Next up was Kenzie's mom and Dylan's mom with her brother and Dylan's friend. And so I love it for them. I really love it. I think there was this awkwardness in the sense that there is these things that came out on movie night. And so it's going to be tense. It's going to be uncomfortable because these people are trying to protect the person they love. And Kenzie had to take ownership and stand in her truth. Because when the family sat down, they all seemed to gel and sort of get along. And then they separated, and you had Kenzie receive a phone call from her dad, which I really love the message that he gave her, in the sense that not every relationship is going to be perfect. What you need to understand is, yes, you have seen my relationship with your mother and how well it works, but prior to us becoming a couple, we've had other relationships that didn't work so well. And it's okay, because every relationship prepares you for the next one or for the final one. So I love that she got to hear that. And then as their parents were leaving, you had Kenzie pull Dylan's mom aside, and she apologized profusely and said, I'm sincerely apologetic for my behavior and for everything I've put your son through. I want you to know that I care about him, and I can really see this growing into becoming something. And I think whatever emotions that his mom had, they sort of faded away because of the way Kenzie handled the situation. Because had she not sort of recognized or acknowledged her shortcomings, I think his mom would have left with a bad taste in her mouth. And I think the moment Kenzie set her down away from everybody and had a chat, they sort of softened her heart and allowed her to sort of really develop feelings for Kenzie. So I can see them growing, but I think there is a lot of healing and work that needs to take place. Dylan's mom was telling him that she has atoned for her mistakes. She has apologized. You need to move on. and see if this thing can work outside the villa. So I can't wait to see what happens there. After they had left, you had Kenzie and Dylan have a chat and be excited about the fact that their families got on very well. Her brother was ecstatic. Kenzie's brother was ecstatic. Apparently his crush is Kayda. And it's like, oh, I don't think he can handle Kayda, but hey, we'll see. Next up was Kayda and Zach. So you had, for Kayda, it was her mom and her sister. For Zach, it was his brother Charlie from season 7 and his sister. Next season, maybe, most probably, his sister will be on the show. Hey, it is what it is. It's a family affair. So they all came together. They seem to be very happy. Kayda is too loud. She's too loud. And I wish she had worn something a bit better than what she was wearing. Yes, I know most of them normally wear bikinis, but it seemed everybody else was more sort of decently dressed. At the end of the day, she was meeting siblings, and Charlie's already been on the show, so he knows how people dress, so I get that. And so they sat down at the fire pit. You have Kayda's mom then say, she really likes Zach for her daughter. She feels like, he really takes good care of her. He makes her very happy. She's always smiling. She's always laughing. So she likes that aspect of the relationship. There was concern, obviously, in the sense that after the hideaway, he then turned around and said, we need to get to know bombshells if bombshells come in. And the mother was sort of hinting that that's a bit too soon. That's a bit too soon to be talking about that, especially if you've come from the hideaway. They said, they seem to be in a good space. Zach, on his part, wanted to apologize about Casa. And I didn't like the comment that Kayda's mom made, in the sense that she said, at least you didn't say anything negative about anyone. And it's like, that shouldn't be the bar. That should not be the bar. The fact that he was kissing someone after being to the hideaway, and that person had told him that you've been to the hideaway with someone, so I'm sort of holding back because I don't know whether you're seriously exploring a connection or whether you're just doing it just because it's a performance. So the idea that, Kayda's mom minimized that and tried to throw Casey under the bus, I didn't like it. I didn't. They did have conversations about the sense of humor, whether they sort of understand each other's humor. Given the fact that he's from the UK, she's from America, so the humor will be different. But her parents were happy that, she's always, her mom was happy that she's always smiling, she's always happy. She said even her dad says the same thing. And so they love it for her. And all their families want them together. Charlie seemed impressed. He's impressed at the idea that his brother was able to stay longer in the villa. He's been to the villa twice, and every time people have kicked him out as soon as he's walked in. I think it's because he's more opinionated and sort of more out there as a person. I didn't like the little joke between, Zach and Bryce, in the sense that they were touching Bryce's manhood. That was unnecessary. That really was unnecessary. There needs to be boundaries. There needs to be boundaries. If nothing else, Kayda and Trinity need to speak to these men and sort of make sure that they put boundaries in place, because I think some of the jokes and the innuendos are too inappropriate and can be seen as being disrespectful towards your partner. Anyway, they went about, they took pictures, and then they said their goodbyes. You had Zach and Kayda have a conversation saying that they're happy that, their family really like them together and they're in a good space, so they're very good. And it's like, I'm surprised they didn't sort of analyze that, exclusive situation, but the family swept it under the rug. So I think they're going to leave it at that because they've seen the negativity it brings from the fans. You then had Sincere sit down with Annaya. They were having a conversation. And he said in the morning he was nervous because he didn't know who was coming. He doesn't know whether it's his mom or who will come, but he needs to take accountability. When Melany's family come and sort of apologize for whatever he's done, he was worried that his mom would be upset. And it's like, I don't know. I really don't get it. I feel like Sincere knows lip service. He says he's a people pleaser. I don't think so. I don't want to diagnose him because I'm not a mental health practitioner and I don't know that much about mental health in order for me to say, but he gives me you can't say, I know people might want to say it's his upbringing, it's how he was brought up, blah, blah. No. He has the same sort of friendship with infidelity that a serial killer has with killing, as far as I'm concerned. That's what I'm going to say and end it at that. Anyway, you have Sincere's dad and brother come. Melany's mom and sister came. You could tell from the jump that Sincere's dad was upset. He really was upset. And Melany's family didn't want anything to do with Sincere. You could see it from the jump that they didn't want anything to do with him. When they sat down, it was very awkward. And then as they were talking, you had Melany's sister call him beloved. And immediately he knew he was in trouble. he knew he was in trouble because he was trying to say, oh, it never felt, I needed to explore, but it never felt right with all the other girls. It was always going to be Melany. And it's like, well, if it was always going to be Melany, there was no need to disrespect her. We had someone like Scott on Love Island All Stars. Scott, yes, had flirty conversation, which was at times inappropriate, but he was never physically intimate with the girls. He never kissed them. He never hugged them. He never made out in bed when he was sharing a bed with one person. So the idea that you are saying you're exploring a connection and it never felt right, you didn't need to kiss those girls. You didn't need to make out with those girls. You didn't need to give each other French fries or whatever you're giving each other for you to know that there was a connection or not. And so I'm happy that his dad was there, and his dad was saying, I was very upset seeing her cry. Even her family said we were very upset seeing her cry. For the dad to say the whole family is apologizing, and it's like, why are we apologizing for a grown man who did what he did, knowing what he was doing? Yes, I appreciate the apology, but at the end of the day, he is at fault. You had Melany's family say, how many more times can you forgive this man before you say enough is enough? And enough is enough. Enough is enough. There's no more opportunities for you to continue to forgive him. It's one thing if he was having chats with people. He was making out in bed, nearly having sex with people in bed. And even the guys were hypercritical and told him that if you do that, that shows you don't care about these people. So for us to suddenly try and minimize it, I don't get it. His dad said, I'm very disappointed. We don't move like that. I didn't raise you to be that person. And so for you to do that, it's unacceptable. And it's like, good for them. I really appreciate them telling him the truth. You then had Melany go with her sister and have a conversation because the dad wanted to separate so that they could speak to their individual sort of children. And you had Melany's sister try and plead with her and remind Melany of the girl that she is. Please, he's not, he's treating you very badly. He doesn't have your best interests at heart. You can't continue to forgive him. Her mother told her, how many more times? It's one time, two times. I personally feel like Melany is her own worst enemy. I'm going to say it. And I always advocate that people shouldn't become physically intimate with someone unless they know that there is a strong connection that will lead to a long-lasting relationship. Because now she's sort of soul-tied herself to Sincere. She can't leave him. She's reminding me of what's her name? What's her name? Kayla. What was her name from what season was that? With Destiny, season 5 season 6, because of the fact that she also did the same thing that Melany is doing now, and it's really going to end the same way, which is really bad. And I personally, I don't know how much longer this can continue. I really don't know how much longer this can continue. And for Melany to not listen to her family telling her that he's playing in her face, I don't know. I really don't know. You then had Sincere's dad tell him that the way you behaved, I would never let someone like that sit at my table. This is why I came here, because this is unacceptable. And so you need to move with honesty, commitment, and you need to know when to say enough is enough. And so I feel like this is what I think. I feel like Sincere must have grown up with certain rules and regular rules in his family. And so because of that, he saw this as his opportunity to rebel against that and decided to come on Love Island and show us who he is. Sadly, it didn't work out the way he thought it was going to work out. His family is not on board. Melany's family can't stand him. And they, I think, if they had their way, they would have taken her back home with them. Which part of me really wishes they did, because this man does not have her best interest at heart. This man is going to embarrass her until she says enough is enough, and he's going to break her, and her family is going to end up having to pick up the pieces. So the idea that Melany doesn't see this and wants to continue to explore this man doesn't make sense. Most people, all the other families took pictures in the photo booth. They didn't take pictures in the photo booth. They just said their goodbyes. And you could tell that Melany's family were really not happy. They were trying to reiterate, leave this man alone, leave this man alone. But she is set in that road. Once the families had left, you had Melany go for a chat with Sincere. She was hugging him and saying, we really need to do our best to be better. And it's like, girl, he's never going to be better. This is who he is. It's up to you to decide, are you willing to sort of carry this for the rest of your life, or do you want to leave it and move on to something else? I personally wish she had gone home with the family. I really do. Anyway, you had the islanders sort of get ready for the night. And Melany was telling the girls that my family are not on board with the way Sincere moved. They really don't like what he did. They really think that he was very disrespectful and he doesn't deserve me. And it's like, well, that's the truth, though. That's the truth. Sincere was busy hyping the boys and telling them that, I'm a changed man. I'm really working on myself. And it's like, what's changed you? Movie night. Seriously. He hasn't changed. It's only because he saw himself in 4K and he's realized that he needs to move in a different way. And the idea that the guys don't call him out, I don't get it. I feel like Sincere is very good with his words, and this is why he's managed to fly under the radar with most of the islanders. Anyway, the islanders come out, they pick up their drinks, and then they go for chats. You have Zach, Kayda, and Bryce at the fire pit, sort of having a conversation about, meeting the family and how well that went. Bryce was emotional because he was talking about his grandma. I think his grandma was amazing. It really was. And they were all sort of appreciating the fact that they'd managed to bring themselves out, well, their families out to Fiji. And, that's a trip that, someone doesn't normally go on unless you can afford it. So the idea that they've given their families this opportunity, I think, is something they appreciated. Zach was happy. He spoke about how his brother was always the cool guy growing up, and now he's coming to his own. And it's like, Zach, please, there's better stories to tell. Don't tell us serious stories because you want the fans to vote for you. Kayda said their families are happy that they're together, and she can't wait to go for a drink with Zach's sister. What do I think? I don't know. In my personal opinion, I think the couples, if you look at them, the one that I think is promising and might actually have legs on it and last longer past the villa, I think is Carl and Annaya, and surprisingly, Titi and KC. Titi and KC, for me, are going to be the Clark and what's his name from last season? The one who was with Olandri, and then they broke off things. Taylor and Clark. That's who they remind me of, and I think that's who they're going to go down the path, same as Buggy and Taylor. Anyway. You have the girls go for a chat, so they're having a conversation, and Annaya is saying to, Melany, I need to be truthful with you because my mother called me out and she told me that I'm not being a good friend to you because I'm not giving you constructive feedback. I am taking sides with Sincere and I'm minimizing Sincere's, wrongdoings, which is wrong. So I want to tell you that I'm sincerely apologetic for that, and I want you to understand that Sincere is wrong for what he did, and you don't deserve to be treated the way you're being treated. Melany, for her to come back with, well, it's very difficult for me when someone is Team Sincere. I think Annaya was saying what she needed to say in order to keep her friend in the villa one and in order to protect her friend Sincere. I'm going to be truthful because at the end of the day, Melany on her part could have easily coupled up with anyone else. She could have easily coupled up with one of the Casa boys and done very well for herself. And I think partly because her friends were encouraging that relationship with Sincere, this is where she stayed loyal. And also, just because someone is in a toxic relationship and you want to keep your friendship doesn't mean you need to sort of support that toxicity. You can either give your opinion, or if not, I always advocate for minding your business. I hold a PhD in minding my business. I think Annaya should never have encouraged that connection because now here they are. You had Kenzie and Dylan go to Say Less. They were having a conversation. Obviously, on his part, Dylan is happy that Kenzie was able to pull his mother aside and have a chat. He felt like, it took a lot of courage. And so I hope they succeed. I hope they really do well because personally, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't see a future for the two of them. I think they're going to continue until the relationship proves to be not beneficial to either one of them, and then they're just going to turn left and go. Melany and Sincere had a chat, and Melany was saying, my family is not on board with me being with you. They are not happy with the way you've moved in the villa. And so according to them, they would rather, I come home and focus on me, but I am going to do what's in my best interest or what I think is best for me. And I'm going to give you another chance. And it's like, girl, no. No, for you to threaten him and say, oh, if you make one more mistake, we're done, that's it, that's the end of the road. I don't think that's enough with Sincere. I think Sincere needs a wake-up call. And as your family told you, he's saying these things, but he's not doing what he's saying. So the idea that you continue to put up with it and continue to excuse his bad behavior, you're in for a rude awakening when he does worse. And sadly, in the villa, you won't see it because you won't have him being recorded 24/7. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 31. Bye guys.